Okay, guys, now we're going to get into the snapper fishing, and this is the rod that I'm going to be using, or that somebody else is going to be using to be able to, see which is better, the Cuban yo-yo or the fishing rod. Now this, let me just start off with telling you that this is a Daiwa power medium extra fast action Shimano rod. Okay, I believe this rod is worth about $150, if not more. It's actually let me tell you, when I went to buy this rod, and the reason why I bought this rod is I went to a place and I was looking at a rod, and I told him, listen, I want to be able to catch snappers, but I usually, catch snappers that are 3, 4, and sometimes 5 pounds in the mangrove. And I said, and I don't want to lose it. The guy walked up to me and he said, well, I'll tell you what, bud, if you break that rod, I'll give it to you for free. And I, put my weight on it and tried to break it, and I couldn't break this rod. So I know the rod is a great rod. And the other thing that I'm using is the reel that I'm using, is the Daiwa SS Tournament, okay, 1600. This is what I'm going to use, guys. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about mangrove snappers. If you're fishing in the ocean, it's a little bit different than fishing in the mangroves, and the reason why is because mangrove snappers are very smart. And what they do is, once you hook them, they run right into the mangrove. So you're going to have power in order to stop them quickly, turn them around, and bring them in. Because if they go in the mangrove, more than likely, unless you're going to jump in the water and pull them out, the line is going to break because there's sharp barnacles on the roots in the mangrove. It's going to cut the wire and you're going to lose the fish. So, listen, I'm not endorsed by anyone, but I'm going to tell you things that I've learned in the past. I've used, expensive fishing line, and, I have expensive fishing line. I've used Diamond, all these name brand fishing lines. And to tell you the truth, they're great out in the ocean, but when it comes to the mangrove and the roots and all the stuff that are down there, I lose a lot of fish with those lines. But one line that I know that that has given me the edge on these fish has been the Suffolk line. I don't know what they're made of. The only thing I know that they withstand just rubbing against the roots and the coral and all that. And for me, it's been a great fishing line. All right. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is with this particular line, you don't want to use thick leader, because it's very shallow in the mangroves where you're fishing, probably 10-15 feet. So most of the time I use the same line as a leader, okay? And the only difference is that this particular line I'm going to put with a weight because of the currents. When the current goes in and out, it's going to move my line. I don't want my line to move around in the mangrove. I want it, when I throw it to a specific place, I want it to stay there until I get a hit. Okay? And so I want to use a sinker on this. If I have a line which I'm going to be holding all the time, then I may not use a sinker, but I will keep my hands on the line at all times, because the snappers will just kind of grab your piece of bait and then they'll just kind of with their nose push it. And what they're doing is they're trying to see if there's something behind the line. And don't ask me how that works, guys, because these particular fish are very smart. And you know, you'll think that they're biting you, and when you try to pull on it, that's it. They've eaten your bait, and you didn't even notice. So this is what I want to talk about right now. I want to talk about the different hooks and why I use a specific hook and not another. Well, a lot of guys, when I speak to them, they say, well, you know, when I'm go fishing with mangroves, I use a number 2 or maybe a number 3, something like this. And you know, that's great. But one thing that happens in the mangrove is that when a snapper hits you in the mangrove, a lot of times they eat the bait and swallow the hook. And they get it all the way inside their stomach. So what I do is I use a circle hook, but I try to get a hook, instead of being a short shank like that one, I use a number 4 like this. See how much longer it is? So a lot of times when I catch a snapper, this, at least that much from here to here, is outside his mouth, that I could just wiggle the hook out and get it out. Because if not, guys, you're gonna have to get a plier or something, or just cut the line and deal with it once you get it home and get your hook out of there. So I like to use this type of the size of the hook. And listen, when it comes to hooks, I don't really mind spending money. And the reason for that, because I want hooks, guys, that are very sharp. Okay? I want when it bites the fish to get hooked up. I don't want to be dealing with, you know, playing with the fish. When I go fishing, I don't go fishing, you know, because, you know, I go fishing because I like it. But I go fishing because I want to catch fish, because I enjoy eating fish. So I want to, you know, if I don't want to go over my limit, but I don't want to go and waste my time. You know, going out on a boat is not cheap, and especially on a big boat. So you got to make sure that your equipment and your fishing line, you know, run your finger around it and see if you feel anything. And I usually, you know, after 3 or 4 fishing trips, I replace the line. You won't even, I can't even sit here and tell you how many times I've lost good fish because I've been lazy of not changing a fishing line. It's not because of the money. It's because I've been lazy to do so, and it's ended up hurting me, guys. So let me get this line rigged up, and I'll show you how it goes. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so now I got my hook in, and I have my swivel with a sinker. Alright, so this is going to be my rig for the mangrove. This is the way I'm going to have it set up. And what I want to do, guys, this is something very important. You know, when I was younger, things were different, but now I'm not as young as I used to be. So what I want to do is, you know, set up like maybe 4 or 5 lines already prepared with the hook and everything. That way, you know, if a line breaks or something, I don't have to start, you know, looking for this and for the hook and for, you know, everything's already in place. So all I got to do is just tie it and go. All right. Well, anyway, if this has been any help to you, listen, give me a thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe. Let's go catch some snaps.